Hello, everyone, and welcome to Speech Class. I'm Carl Brown. I will be your instructor this semester. I know it's a little weird, especially starting things off with an online video and the welcome. I'd much rather prefer to do it in person, but it is what it is, so we'll make it work. I realize that many of you aren't excited about taking a speech class, and that's okay. That's the norm. Most people in this class, if I could ask you to raise your hands, would say that they're here because they have to be. It's a requirement of some sort. Now, there may be one or two folks who wanted to take a speech class, and that's great. You and me were weird. We actually enjoy speaking. Other people usually, they'd rather do anything else almost. But whichever camp you're in, it's all right. We're going to make it through this semester. It's going to be, again, a little bit weird, a little bit unique in that we aren't together in person. I know you probably got a taste of that last semester if you were at Grand Valley. If you are new, if you're a freshman, first of all, damn it, welcome. But it's going to be something that hopefully you won't experience too awful much. I know that the future of education is online, but it's really, in my opinion at least, there's no substitute for in-person learning. Having said that, we're going to make it the best we can. So, what I want to do today is give you some information about the course. We'll go through the syllabus briefly, tell you what to expect, what some different things might mean. In general, this class is your Com 201 course, where it's your public speaking class. You're going to get up and give some presentations. Normally that's in front of a class, but now it will be recorded and posted online, or at least on our Blackboard site, so that we can all see it, and it would be simulating the classroom the best we can. I'll also tell you as we move through this that you will be required to go to the Grand Valley Speech Lab a couple times this semester, 3 at least. And that is an opportunity for you to go and work with another consultant, another student consultant, one-on-one, and find out sort of what your strengths and weaknesses are, what you need to focus on, where you can collaborate with someone else. I happen to run the speech lab, and these folks are very well trained and friendly, so it's going to be fine. That's all going to be done virtually as well, so I will give you the details on that in a few minutes. Now, what I want to do is switch over and look at the syllabus. So you'll see that on the screen right now. By the way, I am teaching 2 sections of Com 201 this fall, and like this one you'll see is section 16. If you're in section 04, don't worry, it's the same information for today. Now, as we go back and forth and I'm giving you feedback, of course, that will be specific to your class. But for right now, this is the same syllabus. Now, of course, what you'll see is the basic instructor information. There's my office if we ever go back to campus. I will be in the building a few days a week. So as I said, I run the speech lab, and you'll see those 2 different office numbers. 127 is the room with my name on the door. 154 is the speech lab, and we're going to staff a few people in there, though we will be doing virtual consultations. So I'll be in the speech lab most of the time that I'm on campus. So if you want to swing by, that's the best chance to catch me. You can call me if you need to. I realize I won't be in the office very much, but those voicemails do go to my email. Office hours, you'll see that. Those are going to be Tuesday and Wednesday, 11 to 12:30, and by appointment. So if those 2 times don't work for you, we can do it at a time that does. We're going to use Google Meet for that, and I've gone with Meet instead of Zoom or something else because it's built into your student email account. So there is the link. I think you'll have to actually copy and paste it or just type it in. But that's how you will get to the room where I will be Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And then last but most important on that, you'll see my email address, brownca1. That's not an L. Some people get that confused. At gvsu.edu. That's the best way to get a hold of me. I will tell you more about the email policy, but I will respond within 24 hours in most cases. So that's the place to go if you need to get with me. I talk a little bit at the intro. I'll let you read through this about how it's going to be different, but it's going to be fine. The overview, you'll see that we're going to do a few different things. We're going to talk about some strategies for being an effective presenter, an effective speaker. We'll also cover some basic models of communication, talk about finding good sources. It's not a research class, but we'll work on those things. And really, I want you to be a more empowered speaker. And what that means is to feel more confident, influential, and willing to engage in public speaking when this class is over than you feel right now, maybe. Some specific goals to organize and support a presentation, of course. Deliver ideas clearly and effectively to an audience. This is going to be stuff that you will use forever. I promise. I know that you may not think that you're going to be a public speaker per se, or your job is going to require a lot of public speaking, but it will require some. I mean, that's just life. And when you do have to do this, I want you to be as effective as possible with it. So we'll talk about some effective concepts to public speaking. We'll talk about how to assess a good speech, what makes a good speech, what doesn't. We'll talk about the audience and why we always have to remember who they are when we're crafting our words in our entire presentation. We'll talk about the credibility and how that is so vital. And even though you may not have a terminal degree or 20 years experience in a field, you can still establish credibility by citing quality sources. Next, I want to help you figure out how to deal with your anxiety. I know that everyone has anxiety on some level. We're going to talk about that shortly in another video for this first week, or maybe the second week, to be honest. But it's something that everyone deals with. And while there is no magic cure, I want you to understand that it's normal and that you can manage it, even if it's not something that you can erase. We'll talk about outlining and preparing speeches a lot as we move through the semester. There's that idea of becoming an efficient researcher. Again, it's not a research course, but you'll have to cite sources. And I don't want you to spend more time looking for the sources than you do preparing for the actual presentation itself. And so I'll teach you how to work smart and not necessarily long and hard on that kind of research work. Next to last, I want you to understand these ideas that are foundational really to persuasion. We're only going to cover persuasion maybe like half the semester. It's 2 of your 3 major speeches. But if you can persuade people in this life, you have a much better chance of achieving what you want. You're going to need other people to do things for you. And if you can persuade them to do that, that's a great skill that, again, you'll use forever. And then last but not least, I want you to be able to self-identify as a speaker. In other words, what I've found through some research I've done on my own is students often feel like they are primarily anything but a speaker, a student that sometimes has to speak. And I want you to think about yourself a little differently, that you are, at least in one part of your being, your personality, your identification, a speaker. Because in our country, we have the right to use our voice for change. And, it doesn't mean that you have to have an opinion and speak up on every single topic that you come across. But for those that you are passionate about, I want you to feel able and ready to do that. Let me change the screen just a little bit here because let's switch you down. I like to do this side by side so that I feel like we have a better connection that way. Let's see if this will work for us. There we go. Okay, so for the asynchronous design, and again, I'll shrink this a little bit, but you've got a copy of it. We will not have any class meetings at all this semester. That won't be live, that won't be online. So there won't be any specific time where you have to be at any specific place. This is all sort of work on your own. There is a schedule, which we'll get to, and things have due dates. I encourage you not to work ahead, at least too far ahead, maybe more than a week ahead, because as we learn things and as you get feedback, the way that you approach assignments will likely change, hopefully will change. And you may make more work for yourself, having to go back and redo those. So whatever you do, though, as it says, avoid getting behind. My advice is to set a time. So we don't have a set time, but you should, that this is your speech class time. 3 hours a week is what the recommendation is. And that should be very sufficient for this course. And that should also include probably most of the work you're going to be asked to do and prepare and turn in. So That's what I would do, and I will make it as enjoyable and as little pain as possible. But just because we're not meeting in person, that doesn't mean that I'm not accessible. You can get a hold of me. I've talked about the office hours, the email, and I'm ready for your questions and to help you as needed. Now, what will you need for this course? You see it there. Access to the internet's an obvious because it's an online course. You will need a recording device. I think most of you have that in your pocket or on your screen. But if you don't have one of those in some form, let me know and we'll see what we can do. But I imagine since you're taking this course online, you're going to have something that will work. And what you'll also need is the website and the course pack. So we'll talk about the course pack shortly. It's connected to this document, but there's no textbook with this course. You're welcome. I like to save you money when I can. I've been where you are, but also I think when some classes textbooks are vital, I get that, but for a course like this, I feel like you're paying me, an expert in public speaking, to teach you about public speaking, and then I'm going to require you to buy a book by another expert to teach you about public speaking. I don't see the point in that. I've read the books, lots of them on this. I got you. I've condensed down the key crucial information and made your course pack from that. So definitely make sure that you have access to it. The other thing I want to say, and I'll come back to this, these videos, please watch these videos. So listen, I taught obviously the end of the winter semester online, and grades dropped after we went online. Summer came, and I taught a course, and the grades overall were much lower than they have been in any other course that I've taught. And I thought, okay, maybe it's me. I'm going to go and see what I'm doing. What I was finding, because your videos that I linked to on our Blackboard site are actually housed on YouTube, I could see the views, and there were fewer views than there were students in the class. So people are missing vital information not watching the videos. I am a classroom interactive guy. I love being up in front of my students and talking and interacting and telling jokes, and I promise I can be funny. It's going to be a little hard to come across as funny here, besides maybe a bald head, but I can't quite connect with you as I want to in person. So please watch these videos because it's as close as we're going to get. Okay. What are the policies for this course? Here is a list. First of all, there are no class meetings, so there is no attendance policy. That's nice and handy. Having said that, it's important, again, that you keep up, that you watch the videos, and that you use the course pack here. Now, I don't like late work. I just generally don't accept late work. With this course, you can see, as I'll show you in just a second, that everything's laid out with a due date. So there's no need to get behind. Even if you have something come up, stay on top of this. Now, there are exceptions to everything. If you are ill, have an emergency, you have an absence for one of the reasons you see there, let me know as soon as possible. And, we will work on a solution to that problem. For the most part, though, keep up with the work, turn it in on time, and you should be okay. Speech attire policy, again, this is a at-home course, right? It's an online class. What I found over the summer with those lower grades were poor performances on speeches. And in that, I found that most people were giving the speeches from their bed. I get that not everyone has a separate room where they can go and it's quiet and that you can record and work on your coursework. I get that. But what I want you to do is think about your appearance. It's going to sort of change your mindset a little bit. It's also going to add to your credibility as a speaker. So, like right now, I'm wearing a button down, but down below I've got on basketball shorts. I mean, it's not like you have to put on a suit to make yourself look more credible. So think about how you can look your best, to feel your best, to perform your best. And again, you don't need to suit up and go all out, but stand up, speak out, dress a little a little nicer than maybe you would to take a class where you're not being recorded at home. Number 5 is the email policy. I alluded to this earlier. The best way to contact me is through email, and I'll respond to those within 24 hours unless it's maybe the weekend or a holiday. If you don't hear back from me within that 24-hour period, go ahead and email me again or call my office phone and leave a message there. That will, again, go straight to my email, and I will hopefully get that one. It's not that I'm ignoring you. It's that I maybe didn't get the email, it got lost somewhere, or my response didn't send. So I won't ghost you, but if you don't hear back from me within 24 hours, let me know. Number 6 is likely a non-issue for us. It's hard to cheat in speech class. There are no quizzes, as you'll see shortly. You're welcome for that too. Everything is a performance-based grade. And so the only way that you could be considered a cheater in this class is to give a presentation and cite 0 sources. Now, that doesn't count for like your introduction speech, something like that, but for your 3 big speeches, you'll want to always cite sources. If you do not cite any sources, it's an automatic 0, and it's technically plagiarism because you didn't just know all that information. You learned it somewhere, and you need to give us credit where it's due, right? Tell us where you learned this information. Otherwise, followed the GVSU standards, I don't see this being a problem. In fact, it's only ever been a problem once in 6 years at Grand Valley, and that was, again, an accident. They forgot to cite their sources. All right, number 7 is the FERPA policy. If you're not familiar with FERPA, that's Federal Education Rights and Privacy Act. So what this basically says is that I can't talk about your grade to anyone but you. It's a private matter between the two of us and the university. And I bring it up here because I can only talk to you about it through your official Grand Valley email. That is what you would email me from on Blackboard or, from the @mail.gvsu.edu account. If you want to talk about your grade, please do not email me from, somebody at gmail.com. I can't talk about it that way. The phone is also a little bit less than ideal. So, true story, I had you'll see it down there, the last line, don't let your mom call me. I had a student a few semesters, it was like 4 years ago now at Grand Valley. I'm in my office one day and the phone rings, and it's one of my students who hasn't been in class for a couple weeks. It is her mom on the phone. And she asked me if I can talk to her about how her daughter is performing in my class. And I told her she's performing fine. Well, okay, what's her grade right now? I can't talk to you about her grade specifically because that's a violation of FERPA. And she told me, well, the basic stuff. Listen, I'm her mom. We're concerned about her. We pay for her tuition. And I get all that, but I still legally, by federal law, can't do it. I can't talk to her. So she pauses for a moment. She says, well, you can talk to my daughter, though, about this, right? I said, yeah. She said, okay, well, hold on. I'm going to go get her. Maybe like a minute goes by, and this voice comes to the phone. Hey, Dr. Brown, this is so-and-so. Oh, hi, so-and-so. How are you? Good. I'm wondering if you can tell me about my grade. Sure, I'd be happy to. Let me ask you a quick question first, though. The last time you were in class, what did I wear? And before you think, really, you expect us to know? So normally when we're live in a classroom, I wear either a sweater vest or some sort of like a Hawaiian shirt. Like that's, if it's warm, it's Hawaiian. If it's not, then it's a sweater vest. And she's like, oh, I don't remember. And I was like, no, what, you don't have to be specific, but what was I wearing over my shirt? And the voice said, oh, a jacket. And I said, no, that's not right. It was her mom still on the phone trying to disguise her voice to sound like her daughter, right? To try to fool me. Just don't do that, right? So let your folks know. Don't call, even if they want to. Number 8 is the Americans with Disabilities Act. If you need any accommodations because of a learning, physical, or other disability, please let Disability Support Resources know. You'll see their number up there. It's 331-2490, and we'll be happy to make a plan for you. Again, don't be, ashamed or worried or not wanting to speak up to advocate for yourself. If there's something that you need, let people know, and that's how you get what you need. So if you don't get me something from disability support resources and then later ask for an accommodation, like you make a really bad grade on a speech and then you come to me after the fact and say, yeah, but I have blank and that made it really hard for me to make the speech, to record the speech that day, can I do a redo? The answer, I'm sorry, is no. And it's not that I don't care about your mental health. It's just that I can't make those exceptions and still be fair to the other students. So understand where I'm coming from and what I have to deal with. So get that documentation if you need it, and I'm happy to help. Number 9 is Title IX. As a Grand Valley employee, I'm obligated to report any sort of sexual harassment, misconduct, any crimes that may happen on campus. I'm not obligated to identify you. This is stuff that the university really wants us to include in our syllabi. What I'll say is this: if you ever need to talk to someone and you're comfortable talking to me, do it. And we'll worry about that stuff later. And if you're not, but you want to talk to someone and you don't know who to talk to, and you're not comfortable talking to me, at least come to me and say, hey, I need to talk to someone. Can you point me in the right direction? And I'll be happy to do that. Whether that's another student, maybe someone at my lab, another professor, the counseling center, the women's center, LGBTQ resource center. We have lots of resources for you on campus. So the big thing is, don't feel like you have to carry something that's heavy by yourself. There's people to help. Number 10, back to the class specifically, for everything that you turn in, that's text, like your outlines, things like that, make sure you're using Microsoft Word. I don't want you to use other things because it's not always that easy to open. You know, if you're using Google Docs and you want to share a link, that's okay. But if you use like Pages or something from Mac, I don't have good luck with that. So if at all possible, use Microsoft Word. Similarly, let's see, it's not on here, but with PowerPoint, which we'll get to later, make sure you're using actual PowerPoint. The other stuff, again, can be a little difficult to open. And not only that, it's difficult for me to comment on it and give you feedback that's effective. As for recording, you will be recording your presentations, both large and small, in this class because it's the only way I can see you. And you should do that in a streamlined way. So there's a video that I just posted to the documents section that will walk you through how to do this, whether it's your phone or your computer. It works the same way. What I really want to focus on, I don't want you to send me your video so that it's just this big chunk of data sitting on the Blackboard site that I then download and watch. Don't do that. Instead, upload your video to your G Drive through your YouTube, or G Drive or YouTube through your school email account, and then send me a link so that I can go and watch that. When you send the link, when you're making the link, make sure that it is shareable with anybody that has that link. I can't tell you how many times, because I don't know, it happens so often. I get a link and it will say things like, you need permission to whatever. And then I ask for permission, and then the deadline passes before I can get the permission. And if I can't see it, I can't grade it, right? So, I mean, again, think about where I'm coming from here. But make a link, make sure it's shareable, post that in the right discussion board, and that's pretty much all you need to do. There's that video on our Blackboard site that will help you do that in an easy way, whether you're using your phone or your computer or whatnot. All right, special notes, 100% refund deadline, just in case you need to know that, is September 4th. Last day to drop with a W is October 30th. And time limits for all your speeches. I like to get this out in the open. If you are short or long on your time limit, like I'll give you a 4 to 6 minute window. If you're short of 4, some points will be taken away. If you're long of 4, some points will be taken away. And it's 1 point for every 30-second chunk that you're over. So if you're at 6:15 on a 4 to 6 minute speech, that's 1 point from 6:01 to 6:29, and then 30 to 59s too. Right on the money at 7 to 7:29. You see where I'm going. That is on your raw speech grade, by the way. That's not like an overall grade. I'll show you how that works later in the semester. as we go through the course pack. Now, final grades are pretty standard. You'll see there that everything adds up to 100. I'm not one of these professors who, your grade is worth 10,612.4 points. Why? Why do they do it that way? I don't get it. I'm not. It's not my thing. So I count everything up to 100, and you see the scale there. Below a 59, it's an F. 94 to 100 is an A, so on and so forth. So that one's pretty straightforward. Okay. Let's go on to the schedule here. Now, this is tentative and subject to change because God only knows what else 2020 has in store for us. But as of right now, this is what we're looking at. So across the top, you'll see the week that we're in. You'll see the date. You'll see what is due. So with this, week 1, so we're starting that on the 31st, and you'll see an introduction to COM 201. That's what we're doing right now. That's what we're covering. I'll talk to you about the speech lab. I'll talk to you about why speech, and then you're going to do an introduction speech. That is over here. So what's due? Well, you need to read the syllabus, and you need to do your introduction speech and post that by the end of the week. By the way, for us, the week will end on Friday. I will make a announcement. I need to make a note to do that. Let's see if there's a pin here where I'm at. There's not. That's okay. But yeah, everything needs to be up by Friday at midnight. Friday at 11:59 p.m. Friday at 11:59 p.m. I'll put that in writing. But you'll see it through these columns, the dates, what we're covering, and what is due. So everything is listed. You'll see the little superscript numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are on there because the next section is your assignment and grade details, and those numbers match up. So if you see the introduction speech, tell us about yourself. Don't worry about delivery for this one. Just tell us these things: your first name, your last name, hometown, major, or plural if you have more than one of those. Maybe a short-term and a long-term goal, and then something interesting about yourself. That's it. You're going to record it. You're going to upload it. You're going to share the link in the right Blackboard discussion forum. Now, we can go through all of these sort of as we go throughout the semester, but I'm going to breeze through them briefly. So we talked about the introduction speech. You're going to pick a topic, and you're going to find some sources about that topic that you may or may not use. But you're going to really do it as an act of practicing finding good sources. And so you can read the details there. You will have a speech lab tour where you will virtually go to the speech lab and just talk to someone. It's about 10 to 15 minutes. And that will get you familiar with the virtual space and what we do. Then let's see, you've got your outline for your informative speech, which I'll give you a template for. You're going back to the speech lab for the informative speech at some point to work on that. There's the informative speech itself. Here's a persuasive outline, so we'll switch to persuasion. You have to go to the speech lab again for your persuasive speech, or one of the two of them. There's the first persuasive. Basically, you've got the first persuasive speech. Then you're going to give that speech again for the second persuasive speech, but the difference is number 10. You're going to add a PowerPoint to the second presentation. And then last is the course retrospective, which you see there is a one-page write-up of your reaction to the class. So the other thing here, going back to the speech lab, the virtual speech lab. Now, as I mentioned, I'm the director of the speech lab, so it's near and dear to me. But even if I wasn't, and I mean this, I would recommend and require, really, you all to still go there because it's very useful. Every university, really, that's known has a writing center, a place for you to go and work on your papers. We have one of those too. But very few, only about 160, 170 in the country, have oral communication centers. And of those, only 16 of them are nationally certified, or the training program that we make our students go through is in line with the National Association of Communication Centers. I happen to be the president of the National Association of Communication Centers too, so as you may imagine, we're nationally certified. I tell you all that to say this. Two things. One is, when you take a speech class from me, I want you to know that it's a gift and a curse, right? The curse is that I'm the speech guy at Grand Valley, and I really have expectations for you, that I want you to do your best. The gift is that I'm the speech guy at Grand Valley, and I have expectations for you, and I want you to do your best. And so I feel like I will do my best to give you everything I know, all the tools I can provide to help you make that happen. And I just need you to do your part as well. The second thing I want you to know about this national certification thing is our consultants at the lab are very, very well trained. I make them train for a complete semester before they even get to work with a single person one on one. So, what that means for you is that when you go in, you don't have to worry about, oh, is good information or bad advice? Is this the good consultant or a bad consultant? They're all good. They give you strong advice. There may not be perfection every single time, or I may have tweaked it a little if I were being your consultant instead of them, but they're good. They're good at what they do. They are passionate about what they do, and they're gonna be able to help you. So let's look at the website. I'll just say that grades will be posted on Blackboard, and then below there you can get into your actual course pack, which we'll look at shortly. Let's go ahead and go here. Just bring this all the way up. So this is the Speech Labs website, and you'll see that we've been closed since March 16th, and that's because of COVID. There's the staff. We've had a few people move along to graduation, but we're basically still there. What you'll find is that on this site, you will have a link to what's called Book It. If you've been at Grand Valley for a while, or at least a semester, and you've used the Writing Center, you may have seen Schedule It, which was our old scheduling software. So there used to be a link over here that we took down because we went all online. That link will come back Monday, and it will connect you to Book It. And Book It will look like this. Yours will look a little different because I have an administrator view. But you'll have the ability to come over and select when you want an appointment. So let's say that you wanted to come in, let's do September 9th. Why not? You can click view in all locations. Now there are no shifts for that day because we haven't entered them yet. But what will be here are a list of people who are available to help you. And all you have to do is click on one of those, and it will let you enter why you're coming, what you're working on. Let's see if we can go back and do an old one. We'll do June 10th. Maybe July 10th, actually. I'm still learning the system myself. Okay, it looks like it won't let us do old appointments. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. This is the basics of it. So when you go back to the website for the Speech Lab, just go up here and you'll see that there will be a link, and that will get you to what we were just looking at. Meantime, once that goes live, I will make another video for you, or have one of my consultants do that, and they'll show you how to make an appointment using Book It. Other things on our website that may be useful for you. If you go to this COVID-19 options and resources, we sort of put this together as a sort of a catch-all for things that were going to be useful now that we're not in person. And there was our old virtual consultations. That's using Google Meet. We'll still do that, but you'll go through Book It first. Hours and availability are on there. This will change 10 to 4. That's from the summer. There are video resources here that are useful for you, and then guide sheets that are useful. So watch this space. The Speech Lab will actually open the second week of classes. That's why everything's not quite caught up yet. And when that does happen again, I'll post another video and make sure that you know that it's up. Okay, so with that, let's slide this down here. I think that covers the entirety of the syllabus. If you have questions on the syllabus, please feel free to ask. You can send an email, and what I will do is respond directly to you, obviously, but if it's something that I think is useful for everyone, I'll go ahead and make an announcement, And remember, if you have a question, chances are someone else does too. They have that same question. So asking is something that's really important for us because some folks won't want to ask. When you ask, it's gonna help everyone. So that said, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have a great semester. Again, I'm here. I know we're only going to see each other through these videos, or maybe office hours if you want to come by virtually and talk there. But have a wonderful semester. Stay safe, stay smart, wear your masks. I know it's hard to go to college and not, be around other people. It's sad. I really feel for you. I can't imagine being in college again and not being able to be young and dumb. Not that you are, but I was. With that, I'll say have a great day and check out the rest of the videos. I'll have more on this first week where we'll talk about why you're taking this class and what an intro speech looks like.